So what's this? Crunchyroll is officially ending their free ad-supported streaming service on December 31st, 2025. This service allowed people without a subscription to watch certain anime for free on Crunchyroll with ads. Well, I called it, I knew it, and I think everybody honestly kind of saw this eventually happening, but here we finally are. This is the consequences for Crunchyroll, or in this case, Sony, having a monopoly on anime in the West. Yes, they have some competition like HIDIVE, Amazon, and Netflix to an extent, but overall, it really is a Crunchyroll-dominated space. When it comes to very overwhelming popular series and what becomes trending or talked about in the West, usually the anime is on Crunchyroll to some degree. And with Sony buying out basically a lot of different competitors, for instance, buying Crunchyroll, buying Funimation, buying Right Stuff, and probably setting their sights eventually on Viz Media and maybe even kind of putting HIDIVE out of business, it's just going to get more and more apparent that Crunchyroll has a monopoly over anime, and they are so entwined with even production of some anime in Japan that it's most likely causing even a lot of series to get censored upon the production stage of just the initial stage of creation. But before we go into that topic, the point of the matter is we need to talk about what this is, what this means, is it good, is it bad, what does this mean for the future, and how does this affect those that don't even use Crunchyroll. So first off, this entire move from Crunchyroll is more or less a systematic effect of the monopoly that they have, because at this point, Crunchyroll doesn't really have any competition. Like I already pointed out, HIDIVE is one of their main direct competitors, and they're not doing so hot. Just to be completely honest, they have a lot of their series being taken away from them and being bought and licensed by Crunchyroll now. I believe Oshinoko is getting taken away from HIDIVE, which is a pretty big deal, because that's like one of the bigger series that they've gotten in the last few years, besides gushing over Magical Girls. But the point is that Crunchyroll removing this feature is eventually going to probably cause prices to rise and get exponentially higher. Like, let's give a good example of this. Think of Netflix. Think of Amazon. You know, a lot of different subscription services. I believe Disney does it as well. But they start raising prices. They say they need to raise subscription prices by $5 or $10, and eventually, as it gets astronomically high, they offer you a cheap deal for a lower cost, but you have to watch ads with the said episodes or movies. And I feel like that's more or less what Crunchyroll is designing this for. It's a push to eventually have a subscription tier with ads being supported, and if you want to get rid of the ads, you're going to have to pay a higher subscription fee, which will give them justification to raise the prices even more. Because this is what effectively happens with a monopoly. If there is no competition, then these companies can more or less do whatever they want, gouge and get as much money out of a rock as they possibly can, and that's more or less what they're doing. They are now pushing forward, trying to make as much money as possible, cutting off free access to the site, and forcing people to pay a subscription. And I'm going to be honest here, you could quote me on this, clip this, whatever you want to do, but I see in the next year, maybe 2 years, Crunchyroll is going to add a paid plan that has ads associated with it. And it's going to act like it's a deal because it's cheaper, but in reality, if you want to get rid of the ads, you're going to have to pay an even higher price than you are currently with their premium subscription. So, how does this actually affect everyone? Well, first of all, it affects those that have tried to legally watch anime. I know this seems like kind of a crazy thing, but there is people that legitimately, despite all the issues with Crunchyroll, people will go to Crunchyroll to watch anime for one big reason: convenience. If a lot of your titles are there all at once, and it's there upon airing, for the most part, I mean, Crunchyroll has a lot of issues with delayed episodes or translations, subtitles not appearing, and all that, but when it does work, it is a little bit more convenient than a pirate site sometimes. That might spam ads your way. But now that Crunchyroll is doing this move, I feel like this is going to incentivize more people to pirate anime, watch more pirated versions of anime, because those that were using the site in a legal way to watch this will no longer use the site. So that alienates a big chunk that could be potential customers to just go to pirate sites, because if they're already watching it for free, they're not going to want to pay for the service, so they're just going to go to like any big major pirate site to watch what they want. So the main point here I'm trying to get at is that Crunchyroll is alienating a chunk of their potential customers, people that might eventually buy a subscription for their service, is now being forced off their site to potentially go and watch a pirated version. That's kind of a stupid move on Crunchyroll's part, and it makes me believe that they're more or less moving away from that system system because there's a lot more money to be made to just directly, paying for a subscription service. And I feel like they're going to double dip into this, like I already mentioned. They're going to add a certain tier of subscription that's going to have ads associated with it. A bunch of other companies are already doing this, so it's most likely going to be the case. And it's going to, once again, reinstate that it's going to be inconvenient for people to use the site, because it's like, why would I want to be spammed by ads from an official service I'm paying for when I could just go to a pirate site, have some ad blocker, and just go watch it just fine, and it has the same quality or sometimes even better quality than what Crunchyroll has to offer. So the big point here is that this is a really questionable move by Crunchyroll, but it makes sense because of the monopoly. They can afford it. They can get away with this because no competition means you can nickel and dime people as much as you want. It's a really sad day, honestly. This affects a lot of people, thousands upon thousands of people. I believe there is a lot of people that have used this service and watched legally through this for many, many years. And now that's going away, man, it's kind of a bad idea. I think that this is kind of anti-consumer and just pushes people way down into the darkness of the internet. But Crunchyroll is always a company that does a lot of bad things and stupid mistakes, etc. Now, there is one thing I do want to talk about, which is a rumor at this time, and there is no official source I can use to back this up. But I have talked with someone that is an insider, in the industry that is associated with Crunchyroll to a degree, and I'm not going to name them because I want to keep them, unnamed. I feel like it would be a very bad thing if their name got out there, but they told me that Crunchyroll is not doing so hot in Japan, and what I mean by that is that apparently Crunchyroll is looked upon as a black company, for instance, a company that is not really good in Japan's eyes. They don't want to associate with them with the bad blood they have with them, how they handle certain things or licensing. Apparently there is, problems in Japan, and Crunchyroll even had a meeting about a month and a half, 2 months ago in Japan, like some of their executives, with people in Japan, with different studios and companies, etc. And Crunchyroll is kind of being, kind of crapped on by a lot of people in Japan. They don't like them. So I feel like maybe this move is to try to win back over maybe some corporations or companies in Japan, or in this case make more money because maybe they're not doing as financially as well as we thought they did because of some of the stupid decisions that they have been making. It's a very likely possibility, and if that rumor is indeed the case and it's not like, fake or whatever, then obviously I could see some dark days ahead for Crunchyroll, which is technically a good thing for a lot of people because, I would like to see a non-monopoly of anime in the West, and if there's other competition that comes in, I think that's just a good thing overall. That's a net positive. But once again, what I just said here, that brief thing, the rumor, that's a rumor. There is no official source I can give on that or anything like that, but that's at least what I've heard. So just like I said, take it however you view it, but I'll leave it at that. Overall, yeah, very crazy decision. How do you feel about this? Did you use this free version of Crunchyroll, this ad-supported Crunchyroll, or are you not? Do you think Crunchyroll is going to add a new tier that will have ads associated with it? Be honest in the comments below. But I love you guys. Be safe. Stay healthy. Chibi out.